Good Shabbos, everyone. It is good to be with you all this Shabbat morning. What a beautiful day we have. I thought I'd share a quote from Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who marched with Dr. King. He writes this beautiful words about Shabbat. He writes, "The Sabbath is not for the sake of the weekdays. The weekdays are for the sake of Sabbath. It is not an interlude, but the climax of living." And I think so often, at least for me, I think about like the 6 days and they kind of revolve around Shabbat, whereas what he's saying is Shabbat's more important and everything else kind of falls to the side. So maybe this Shabbat we can place Shabbat where it should be, kind of the center. We all need rest. We all need more peace in our lives. And so that's what we're hopeful for this day. We are going to begin on page 50 at the bottom with Harini.
So we take a moment for gratitude to start our days differently than maybe we instinctually do. I don't know if other people wake up this way, but particularly before my coffee, actually we call it, you're acting like Rabbi Shimon in our house. This is code. There's this story in the Talmud of Rabbi Shimon who goes and hides away from the Romans in a cave for 12 years. Have people heard this story? It's a wild story, by the way. He's worried. He goes with his kid to hide in the cave, and they only have one set of clothes, and he's worried that it's going to wear out, but you can't study Torah naked, so what are you going to do? So every morning they dig a pit, and they bury themselves up to their necks naked, but then they're covered in sand, so it's not naked, so they can... Rabbi Shimon. But Rabbi Shimon, after 12 years, comes out of this cave, and he thinks the Romans are right around the corner looking for him, and instead he comes out and discovers that no one is looking for him. And that in fact, unlike what he'd imagined, the world has not in fact ended, but everyone is going about their lives. So he goes outside and he sees everyone farming, just right, the regular things of life, and the Talmud says that he was so filled with judgment that his eyes shot out beams of fire, and he burned up all of the fields that he looked upon. So in our house, we call this being Rebbe Shimon, right? When you're in those moods where it doesn't matter what direction you're looking, you're going to burn it up with fire, right? We all, I think, get into these moods, right? Yeah. This is what happens when rabbis marry rabbi. You're being a little Rabbi Shimon right now. It's, but I think the antidote to this is coffee. Yeah, is gratitude. And we know this, we see this in psychological studies more and more, that when we pause just to be grateful, to list the things that we are grateful for, the small things, the big things, no matter the tsuris, no matter the world, that somehow we are different when we do that. So invite everyone to take a moment to really think about something you're grateful for, something from this week. About someone you're grateful for. Think about something you're grateful for. Page 51, Modeh Modani Lefanecha. Grateful that no matter what else, no matter how well or not so well our bodies are working this morning, no matter how much like the world we wish we were living in, the world is this morning, we pause with gratitude that we have another day together. Modehani lefanecha ruach chai v'kayam. Modehani lefanecha ruach chai v'kayam. Modehani lefanecha, modehani lefanecha, modehani lefanecha ruach chai v'kayam. Modehani lefanecha ruach chai v'kayam. Modehani lefanecha, modehani lefanecha, modehani lefanecha ruach chai v'kayam. Modehani lefanecha ruach chai So the Siddur has all these messages for us just waiting. After gratitude, after Modeh Ani, Elohai Neshama, this is the moment to forgive ourselves for being grumpy before we were grateful. It's a reminder that no matter who we have been, we can always return to that other version of ourselves. The Chassidim say that our souls are the potential for who we could be in any moment. And then no matter how far we are from that soul version of ourselves, we can always return back to it. Page 51. Elohai neshama shenata v'teho,
So we are going to continue on page 53 with Birchut HaShachar, which is another moment to show gratitude. And if it isn't enough in our Siddur, our prayer book, that we should be grateful, it actually begins this week's Torah portion. Ki Tavo begins with the giving of the first fruits, the Bikurim, but it also begins reminding us to be grateful for what we have and that we can share it with others. So on page 53, we are going to join together in the morning blessings. These show gratitude for things we might not even think of that happen in our lives. Like, I get out of bed in the morning and I might not be so grateful for that moment. But I can tell you, a year ago when I had a broken ankle and I got out of bed, I'm very grateful today that I can just get out of bed and not put a boot on. So some of it's perspective, but some of it's reminding us that there are blessings every day that we might not normally see or take notice of. So page 53.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam, shesani b'tzalmo. Blessed are you, the eternal our God, who has created me in your image. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam, shesani ben chorin. Blessed are you, the eternal our God, who has made me free. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam, shesani Yisrael. Blessed are you, the eternal our God, who has made me Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam, pokeach ivrim. Blessed are you, the eternal our God, who opens the eyes of the blind. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam, malbish arumim. Blessed are you, the eternal our God, who provides clothes for the needy. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam, hanoten li'ayev koach. Blessed are you, the eternal our God, who gives strength to the weak. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam, asher echin mitzadei gaver. Blessed are you, the eternal our God, who guides the steps of human beings. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam. Mazel tov. Mazel tov.
Repeat what he said so they can hear him.
His 5-week-old great-granddaughter is thriving. Okay, what's her name, Ray? Zoe. Love it. Love it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam. Other blessings from this week.
Our friend Spruce is here. She used to sing in the choir and be a member, and she's here from D.C., and we're really glad to see her.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam. Wow. For not having to utz our kids to study.
Yeah.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam. Aw.
Hey, 3 birthdays in the Goldman.
Well, happy birthday to your whole family.
Amen.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ruach haolam. For beautiful weather.
With the
For
windows
beautiful
down.
weather.
Amen. You gonna dance? Okay. Sorry, I won't touch the microphones. It's such a habit. I'm sorry. On page 55, we continue with Sukkei de Zimra. So there are lots of ways to pray. You can sit. Some people even lay down. There's quiet prayer. There's communal prayer. And then there's movement. And this is the movement moment. So if you have some spilkies, I think that's the right word that Rabbi Randy uses. But if you want to get up, dance, really kind of feel Shabbat all the way through your body, we hope you will. And we are on page 55.
Yeshuati orech yamim asbiyeu ve'areu Yeshuati orech yamim asbiyeu ve'areu Yeshuati orech yamim asbiyeu ve'areu Yeshuati Tov lehodol Hashem Tov lehodol Hashem Uzamel Shimcha Elyon Tov lehodol Hashem Tov lehodol Hashem Uzamel Shimcha Elyon Yairei lehagid baboker Boker chastecha ve'emunatcha balelon Lehagid baboker Boker chastecha ve'emunatcha balelon
Ashrei
Yoshvei
Betecha
Od Yahalelucha Zela Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah Kol הנשמה תהלליה, הללויה כל הנשמה תהלליה, הללויה Well, good morning all over again. So, everything up to this is warm up. I always remember growing up and going to Rabbi Jim's shul on a Friday night, and services were supposed to start at 7, so they started at like 7:45, and then about 9 o'clock, Rabbi Jim would turn to everyone and go, "Okay, we're done with the warm up, we're ready to start." But it's true, everything before this is warm up. Everything before this is getting ready, is getting ourselves into a place where we can do the work of the Shema, where we can do the work of the Amidah, where we can take a moment and turn towards a world that we want there to be. So invite everyone as you are able to rise. Page 59. Wherever we are, we turn ourselves towards Yerushalayim. What the Midrash says is Ir Shalom, a city of peace. Not the Jerusalem that exists, not the political city, not the capital of a geopolitical state, but towards the city that is waiting, towards the world that is waiting for us to create it. It's an Ir Shalom, a city of peace, which God knows our city here in St. Louis could use a little more of. So we turn towards that world, we turn towards each other. Page 59. Baruch Hu Het Adonai Hamevorach Yididai Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Leolam Be seated. Take a moment to think about our own sense of smallness. Let all the things that feel so big, and life can feel so big, take a moment to back away, to zoom out on our own lives, to see us as just one life amongst 3 million in our city. To back away, to see ourselves as a small dot on this continent. To back away from the world. You don't have to go far up in a plane for all the individuals to melt away. We keep backing away until everything we have known, until the whole world where everyone we have ever lived is all just a pale blue dot. Hopefully in that smallness, in that existential sense of just not being that important, it makes it easier. Whatever we're carrying, whatever feels like the weight, and if we're small, then that's got to be small too. Page 60. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, Yetzer or uvarei choshech, Oseh shalom uvarei et hako, Hamayir la'aretz v'ladarim, Aleha berachamim, Uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reishit, Ma'rabu ma'asech Adonai, Kulam b'chochma asita, Malah ha'aretz kinyanecha, Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu, Al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, V'al me'orei or shasita, Yifarucha sela. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzei HaMeorot. Baruch atah Adonai Yotzei HaMeorot.
I came across this beautiful poem by Tanya Markle, and she writes, "As I wept in the arms of darkness, I heard the voice of my grandmother say, 'Nothing stays the same, darling, not even pain. Life is a path of change, of ecstasy and ache. So no matter what the storm claims, let love light the way.' We we continue on page, in the middle is 61 with Ahava Rabbah, which teaches us just that we need to let the love in, that we need to be loved, we need to give love, but it's also important to be able to receive love and to receive kindness. And that's what she's reminding us of.
So we take a moment holding this sense of smallness, holding this sense of being loved, of being held, holding our unimportance and our existential importance all at once. For the words of the Shema, page 64. If it's your custom to be seated or to be standing or anything else, we invite you to do so. Page 64. Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad seated if you're standing.
In the Talmud, it says, a disciple asked the rabbi, "Why does the Torah tell us to place these words upon your hearts? Why does it not tell us to place these words in our hearts?" The rabbi answers, "It is because as we are, our hearts are closed, and we cannot place the holy words in our hearts. So we place them on top of our hearts, and there they stay until one day the heart breaks and the words fall in." We join together with Via Havta on page 65.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמן. Studying with Rabbi Jim some Friday mornings. Been studying Rav Kook, the first chief rabbi of the pre-state of Israel. We're looking at a text from Rav Kook on Tshuva this week. On this process that we talk about during this month of Elul, during the high holy days. This process of turning. And of course that's what Tshuva means. It means to turn, to return. Turn towards that version of ourselves that could yet become, the version of the world that could yet become. And Rav Kook, this great mystic, says, what is the way to get the world to turn? It's to turn our own insides. At least it's almost Musar, I think. Rav Kook says, if you want politics to change, if you want history to change, if you want the world to change, change yourself. 68. חדשה, שמחו גאולים, לשמחה שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמלכו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ובטחנו ממך, יהודה וישראל. בוא עלינו אדוני, צבאות שמו קדוש. ישראל, ברוך אתה אדוני, גא ישראל, גא ישראל.
We move into Tefillah, into the Amidah, our time for prayer, on page 70. This is written by Stacy Zisuk Robinson. I find God in my doubt, in the struggle to be the absolute best of me, and in my fear that I find only my worst. I wrestle and am restless, and I wander rootless and exiled, barricaded by silence. God of hosts and light and mercy, God of the desert and unseen edges, God of my devotion and my rebellion, open my lips that I may declare your praise. We rise together on page 70.
Adonai sifata tifta ufi agita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 sifatai tifta. Na 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 ufi agit ilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 sifatai tifta. Na 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 ufi agit ilatecha. Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 sifatai tifta. Na 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 ufi agit Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, v'Elohei Rachel, Elohei Bilha, v'Elohei Zilpa, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה, page 73. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד אתה. מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, צומח נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מגנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. Be seated. We hear a lot, we talk a lot about this idea of Shabbos being a day without work. The word we use for work in English is quite different than what we mean in Hebrew. In English, the word work, we usually mean avodah. Avodah means labor. Oh, and it's actually the name of the next bracha that we have after this one, too. But avodah means labor. It's the stuff we do, that we get paid to do, that we have to do, that our mom makes us do, that we don't want to do. That's avodah. But that's not what the Torah is talking about. It talks about a day free from work. Instead, it's malacha, creative work, work of change, the work of control. Shabbos isn't a day where we don't schlep. God knows they're schlepping. You know, you have a big meal. We had 22 folks over for dinner last night. There was a lot of schlepping afterwards. But it's a day where we don't pretend like we're in charge. It's a day where we let go of the illusion of control. We recognize that we are not the pilots of this spaceship, just passengers on this rock we call home. Page 76. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam. Beni uven b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam, oti le'olam v'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam. Ki sheshes yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim va'et haaretz v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat v'inafash, Shabbat v'inafash v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat ledoratam berit olam.
We continue with avodah, which it's a great connection, I think, moving into our next prayer. 2,000 years ago, there wasn't prayer like this. We made sacrifices. And when we stopped sacrificing things as offerings, we moved to prayer. And so this prayer, I think, holds that message a little bit because it says, may our prayers be received with love. And I think that's the whole point of all of this, and that was the point of the sacrifices, and that's the point of our prayer, that whatever we say, whatever we are feeling, we hope that it is received with love, and that the next week and the week after will be better. So we take a moment for Ritze.
Adonai
79. Modim anachnu lach. We are grateful for our mouths filled with song. We are grateful for our tongues overflowing with joy. We are grateful, and so we bless the source of life. We are grateful, and so we are blessed. A prayer for peace. Shalom, Tova uvracha, Sim Shalom, Tova uvracha, Sim Shalom. Shalom, Tova, Uvracha. Chen v'chesed, v'rachamim. Aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael Hamecha Sim Shalom Tova uvracha Sim Shalom, Tova, Uvracha. Sim Shalom, Tova, Uvracha. Sim Shalom, Tova uvracha. Take a moment for private prayer. Say shalom bimroma. Uya say shalom aleinu. Ve'ako Yisrael. Ve'ako Yoshvei Tevet. Say shalom bimroma. Uya say shalom aleinu. Ve'ako Yisrael. Ve'ako Yoshvei Tevet. Ve'imru. Amen. Ve'imru. Amen. Ve'imru.
So we move from tefillah, from our time to pray, into our Torah service, which can be found on page 83. Is there anybody who's celebrating a simcha or wants to carry the Torah for us for the Hakafah and come up here with us? Anybody? Birthday, anniversary, because you're feeling awesome and you want to hold the Torah? Anybody? Yeah, come on up, please. Thank you.
Let's invite everyone to please rise as we take the Torah from the Ark. We turn to page 83. are standing, you may be seated. Well, good Shabbos, everyone. So we are almost at the end of the Torah. At the end of the book of Deuteronomy. It's always so interesting. We don't keep going with the story. Right? There's more to this story. In fact, the next book of the Torah, the book of the next book of the Tanakh, of the Hebrew Bible, the book of Joshua, just picks right up where Deuteronomy ends. Just continues the story. But we don't read the sequel. We just start back over to read the original again. There's something about this cycle. There is something about this idea that just before we are to get to this place we have been journeying towards, we start the story again. That we never quite get there. There's a quote by Ta-Nehisi Coates, the author, the journalist, the philosopher, that has just stuck with me, that the only thing on the other side of politics is more politics. Right? No, it's deeply true, right? We imagine this messianic era of the thing we're working for, of the thing, right? And it doesn't matter whether it's my 10-year-old who's saving up for a new game on the Nintendo Switch, or whether it's us about this new job, or this new house, or this new move, or this new. We imagine that that's the point that we are waiting to get to when everything will be okay. And of course, what's on the other side of it? Yet more politics. So I think there's this lesson in the way that we talk about it in the Torah. We talk about the way that the destination will be. And it's striking in this week's Torah portion because this week's Torah portion is in fact all about politics. In fact, it's all about economics and how we build a society and what it looks like to deal with the question of our own wealth. You know, one of the interesting things in Judaism is we talk about tzedakah a lot, right? And tzedakah means, it comes from the root of justice, nice, tzedek, but if we're just coming up with one word, if we're explaining it to someone else, right? Tzedakah is charity, right? It's not charity. Right? We call it charity, but when you think about charity, what is charity? Charity is that which you give to someone else who needs it out of the goodness of your heart. Tzedakah is closer to taxes. Tzedakah is not optional. Tzedakah is not something you do out of the goodness of your heart. That's actually a whole different concept. We have a concept like that in Judaism of charity. Tzedakah is economic justice. It's taking from what you call yours and giving it to someone who has less. But what's radical about this is that Jewish law says that if you don't give the amount of tzedakah that you're supposed to, that you have stolen from the poor and can be prosecuted. Tax evasion. Right? It's a radical idea because what it's really saying is that which we think of as ours, that which we think of as our property, doesn't actually belong entirely to us. So we're going to look at just a small subset of where these ideas come from. We're going to look at the idea of tithes today, just a few verses. And I think we'll probably pause a little bit and talk about it as we're reading. So if you'd like to come up in front of the Torah today, if ideas of justice and macroeconomics have been going through your head recently, come on up. If you'd just like to be close to this text, see as we get towards the end of the Torah, come on up. If you're a tax evader, come on up. If you pay your taxes, come on. Yeah. CPAs don't. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, we'll turn it. This is moving all over on me today. Let's see. Someone with Vitalis want to come on over? We're starting right there with Key. And you can find the blessings for the Torah reading on page 84. Baruch Adonai Amvarach Leolam Va'ed. Amen ti ki tichale laser et koma aser tevuatecha. And so when you have, now we're talking all about these tithes, which is actually agriculture, right? Everyone is growing things at this time. Basically, everyone is a part of the agricultural economy. And so they're saying that you have to take a portion of everything that you've grown and you're supposed to bring it to the temple. So when you have finished this process of all of the gathering of all of your tithes, Bishana Hashlishit, Shana Hamaaser, and it's the third year of this whole 7-year macroeconomic cycle where every 7 years we have a whole forgiving of debts and a whole process where the system resets a little bit so that people can't generate and hold on to too much intergenerational wealth within the Torah's macroeconomic system. So we're in the third year of 7 years. Avinatata lelevi leger leatom v'lalmana, and you have given to the Levites, to the priestly class, and to the ger, which is probably closest to a concept of undocumented immigrants who are living in this community, leatom, and to the orphan, ulalmana, and to the widow. So all of these are the most vulnerable classes within the community, and you might not think that the priests are vulnerable, but they're not allowed to own any land or property themselves, so if you don't give them food, they don't eat. V'achlu b'shairecha v'savua, and you've enabled all of these people, these protected classes, these folks who are the most vulnerable in our society, to not just eat, but eat in the fullness of the dignity of the city and be satiated. Ve'amata lifnei Adonai Elohecha be'areti hakodesh min habayit. And so you've gone through and you've taken all of your collection of food that you have saved within your house, and you've taken out the holy piece. And it's interesting that the holy piece of all the food you have is actually what you're giving to the vulnerable classes. V'higam natatav lelevi v'lager leyatom v'almana, and you've gone ahead and given it. They're just reminding us again in case we didn't, give everything that we were supposed to the first time, that we're supposed to give it to the Levites and to the undocumented folks and to the orphans and the widows. Kechol mitzvotecha asher tzivitani. And just as a reminder, this isn't optional. This is a commandment that I have commanded you. It's a mitzvah. Lo avarti mitzvotecha v'lo shechachti. And how dare you transgress this or forget this particular mitzvah of taking care of the vulnerable elements of society. Lo achalti beoni mimenu v'lo baiti mimenu net betame v'lo natiti mimenu. And be careful that just because you are in mourning or because you have gotten to a place of ritual impurity, that doesn't mean that you're allowed to eat these foods. And you can't use them for things like, you can't use them as resources to help bury people who have already died. Shamati b'kol Adonai, listen to the voice of the Holy One. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. You all may be seated. Thank you. Okay, just another quick note, quick thought on this Torah portion, because it really struck me, this ending that doesn't seem, at least on first read, it didn't make sense to me, right? Why is the Torah going into this detail? After we're being commanded that we have to take a portion of what we thought we owned, and that it actually belongs to the vulnerable, these vulnerable classes, right? The poor or the undocumented, or those who don't have someone to take care of them within the system, the orphans and the widows. Then it goes on to say, be careful that you don't use these resources for yourself when you're in mourning, when you have come to a place of ritual impurity, or what was the third one?
Eating trafe?
Eating trafe, no, that's, to bury the dead, right? These three different examples. So Rashi talks about this. Rashi picks up this idea and he says, what do those things have in common with each other? Those are time periods where all of a sudden we begin to look at ourselves as the vulnerable, as the victim, right? When we are in mourning, when we are in that place, when we are in a situation of ritual impurity. By the way, if you don't know ritual impurity, think cooties is probably the best. No, really, it can be transferred, it can be touched. If you touch something that has ritual impurity, then you can gain ritual. And it's not uncleanliness, even though it's translated sometimes like that. It's really that you're not in a special status that you can enter into special places, right? You have to be ritually pure in order to enter into the temple, but otherwise it's generally not so significant. So if you have become ritually impure and you can't go into the temple, right? You can't go to the special place. If you are in mourning, or to help bury those who have died, which is considered one of the great mitzvahs. Rashi says, why is this? He says, because the temptation is always to convince ourselves that we are the vulnerable, and so we should keep it ourselves. That there is this mitzvah that we have to give of what we have to those who are vulnerable. And then there's a follow-up saying, don't you dare convince yourself that you should hold it yourself because of who you are in this moment. And from this we get a really radical concept, which is that no matter how impoverished you are, the mitzvah of tzedakah still applies to you. That no matter how impoverished you are still supposed to give of what you have to those who have less. It's a radical concept in the Torah. It's a radical concept of economics. This whole idea that we have of the Shemitah in the Jubilee year. I mean, I said it sort of jokingly about intergenerational wealth, but that really is the idea. According to the Jubilee, every 50 years, all generational wealth resets. Right? Imagine if we had 100% wealth tax every 50 years, and that's what we're talking about within the Torah. If every 7 years we had a mini reset so that no matter how indebted you've gotten with, student loans or car payments or whatever it is, that there is a reset giving you a new opportunity to start again. What'd you say? Right? Wouldn't it be nice? Yeah. It's a really different concept than our society today has. Where fundamentally, according to the Torah, the things that we own, we don't actually own. They're not actually ours. So, I bet you didn't think you were getting macroeconomics today when you came to shul, but all you got to do is open up the book of Deuteronomy, and there's macroeconomics all over it. So, turning from the politics of money and the way that the world isn't the place we're supposed to turn it into, we take a moment from Misha Berach for a prayer for healing, to think of those folks in this world who are looking for that change, who are looking for a moment of shalem, a moment of wholeness, a moment of peace to get from this moment to the next. So if you're thinking of someone, in need of healing, I invite you to share their name if you feel comfortable. Archie? For your mom. For all of them, for your whole family. We were just talking about your mom last night at dinner, actually. A whole group of us. Sending love to all of them. Thinking of them. Thank you. Thank you. For Linda, who's Linda Rikes, who's recovering Crown Center, I believe. I think Crown Center is where I heard. No, I'm getting those confused. Yep, one McKnight, thank you. One of the McKnights. It's the, yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. For Kathy, a reminder that a cure is not always possible, but healing always is. Michael, do we have folks from the stream?
Yes, we're praying for Toby Schreiber and Rudy's brother.
Thank you.
I have a few names from the congregation, and then we'll join together in the words of the Misha Berach. I have Meredith Berkowitz, Robert Shepard, Drew Patchen, Ellen Holtzman Langston, Eileen Ehrlich, Jordan Cronemer, Maggie Bradford, Raina Bott-Ruth, Mary Chris Prost, Maya Nagel, Mark Goran, Barry Robbins, Drew Morris, Debbie Sloan, Brian Harris, Gary Sewell, Steve Loomstein, Bette Miller, Jill Hollifield, Michal, Chaim Lev Ben Simcha Miriam, Fran Lang, Ron Fagerstrom, and Morton Hyman. The Misha Berach can be found on page 86.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor Abrecha Li'imotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We say, Baruch atah Adonai Rofeh HaCholim. Blessed is the source of goodness in our world that calls us to be agents of healing. Invite folks to rise as you are able as we turn to page 90 to return the Torah to the Ark. Diane and Janessa, can we put you on the spot? You want to put the Torahs away? It's Chaim hi, l'machazikim ba, v'tomcheha me'usha, terachecha, dachinoam, v'chon netivoteha, Hashivenu Adonai Elecha V'nashuva Chadesh Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu Remain standing, page 93. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tekel u'l'yotzer breshit, shelo asanu kigoyei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'cho hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu, shehu notei shamayim v'yoser haaretz, u'moshev yikaro b'shamayim ima'ah, u'shchinatu zo, v'govei meromim, u'Eloheinu, Einod, Emed Malkeinu, Efesulato, Kakatuv b'Torato, v'yadata yom v'hashevota elevovecha, ki Adonai hu Elohim, b'shamayim mima'a, v'yala aretz mitachatenu. V'nema v'haya Adonai limelech kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. You may be seated.
At the end of our service, we take some time to remember those who are no longer with us. This was written by Hannah Senesh. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. So if you were in a period of mourning, whether it's been a recent death or this year, or you're just really feeling like you're missing someone, if you would please rise so we can recognize you and extend our arms around you. Lisa. Marlene. And for your father. Thank you. Thanks for saying their names. Marlene was a regular, and if you notice this tallest right here on this chair, that's where she sat. So we're honoring her just for a little bit more time in that way. So thank you for remembering them. Yes. Thank you. For your friend. Thanks for remembering him. Did you have someone? Thank you. Thanks for sharing her name. Felice. Well, thanks for being here. May their memories be a blessing. Thank you. For your husband. And for your dad. All these people we miss so much. May their memories be a blessing. For your husband. Thank you. Together? You together? Okay. Yes. For your friend Ian. Thank you for sharing their name. For your mother, B. Oh, thanks for remembering him. Yeah, Leslie.
For Louise Skranka, who was Steve Skranka's mom, and Sarah Skranka's grandmother, and also Jimmy Buffett. Jimmy Buffett just died.
Thanks, Leslie. Did I miss anyone? Anyone from the stream, Michael?
Yes, we're remembering Myron Pollock and Tony Bennett.
Thank you. So to those names that I know we hold so dearly, we add some other names from our congregation. This week is the yahrzeit of Helen Kupperstein, Jerome Korenfeld, Joan Thimangu, Rini Wolf, Roger Grossman, Theodore Berg, Jean Altman, Rita Wechsler, Vern Benjamin, Diane Kressberg, Helen Schless, Ira Trivers, Joan Shifter, Louise Skrinka, thanks Leslie, Scott Williams, Sydney Platke, your dad, Stan, Vincent Vaccaro, Bernard Davis, Madeline Olbaum, Max Weil, Rodney Barton, Sadie Marco, Stephen Plax, William Nolan, Beatrice Arkey, Bernie Rubin, Nina Harris, and for your mom, B. Lamb, David Neustadt, Fanny Shannon, Francis Rosen, Marion Feldman, Nathan Eveloff, thank you, Ann Kaler, Carol Fleischer, who's Randy's aunt, Helen Levin, J. Claude Evans Sr., John Bender, Larry Lieberman, Lee Keel, Michael Cohn, Miriam Froenglass Fingerhut, who's Bobby's mom, and Philip Rashbaum. And then we add to that list a few names of people who have passed this past year in our congregation. We have Daniel Williams, Verban Kropf, Patty Twellman, Bruce Schneider, Marta Vainberg, Nikki Nymark, Lois Chait, David Adelstein, Bert Newman, Janet Cunningham, Gloria Sirkin, and we said Maurice Geller, but we see it again, Joyce Steinberg, Claude Lewis, Ann Epstein, Kathy Lass, Melvin Mel Padower, Lois Loomstein, Jay Summer, Phyllis Leventhal, we have Paul's name again, Sarah Willick, Marcy Horwitz, and Sheila Bess. Francis Rothschild, Leah Larson, Marcia Ann Wofsy, Lila Rosenblum, Moisey Schapper, Sue Smith, Marjorie Shepard, Matt Blickenstaff, Linda Randall, who is Randy's mom, Maurice Varon, Tovia Siegel, Susan Hockman, Andy Pultman, Sarah Kessler, Gary J. Morris, Roger Goldman, and then we have Marlene again. We have Joan Butcher and Jody Rich. We say Zichronah Livracha, may all the memories of all those that we think of be for a blessing. If it's your custom to do so, or if you want to join us in our mourners, we ask that you please rise on page 96 as we recite the Mourner's Kaddish. Oh, sorry, please, thank you. It's not on.
Takia Young.
Takia Young.
Black woman who was shot by police.
Thank you, Avi.
Have a blessed memory. And for Shai Negreker, Aviad Nir, Batsheva Negri, and Maxim Molchanov, more victims of the violence that is in the Middle East, that is in Israel right now, unfortunately, as we send our love to their families and prayers for peace. Page 96. Yid Gadal, Yid Kadash, Shemei Rabbah,
Be'alma divra chirte, v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon, uv'chayed chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha barichu.
Le'ela
Min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiram be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlam rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru.
Say shalom, Bimroma, Uya say shalom, Aleinu, Ve'akol Yisrael, Ve'imeru, Amen. Say shalom, Bimroma, Uya say shalom, Aleinu ve'akol Yisrael ve'imeru, may be seated.
So just a couple announcements before we end our service. We are still accepting readings, original essays, what's this say? Original essays, prose, stories, liturgy, and poetry for our High Holy Days. So if you've written something or you have something that you love, please submit it to Mariah. You can find this on our website, but all of our email addresses are our name at centralreform.org. So this is Mariah at centralreform.org. So if you want to submit a reading, it is not too late. Also, if you love baking and you want to help bake for our High Holiday Onegs, we would love that. We have trays in the office, so if you want to take one home, just let me know and I can get you one. They're to be dropped off in just under 2 weeks on September 15th, before noon, or within 30 minutes of Erev Rosh Hashanah service. So, living on the edge a little bit. Another prep for the High Holy Days is if you want a round challah. So on Rosh Hashanah, we eat round challah to signify a full circle and a new year. You need to order by Thursday, September 14th. And this is the most important part of this. You get to pick whether you want raisins or not. It's very important.
We're a mixed marriage on that question.
You can't eat it anyway.
Yeah, that's true. You can't eat it. So I'll eat all the regular, and you can have all my raisins. Also, leading up to the High Holy Days, Rabbi Susan and Jim are convening daily. It does not have a specific time. It just says you might catch them. They're doing this to prepare for Elul, and you can catch them on our YouTube channel or our Facebook group. It says they go live sometime during the day.
They've been like 10 a.m.-ish, give or take 3 or 4 hours.
It says you can always find these, but if you catch them live, you get a special treat. So, no mitzvah farm this Sunday. There's a minimal amount of work while the fall crops germinate, so it says to rejuvenate over the high holiday weekend. And moving into the High Holy Days, so they actually kick off next Saturday with Slichot. You gonna say I'm sorry?
I'm sorry.
Slichot means I'm sorry. So in every planning meeting for the High Holy Days, whenever I say Slichot, Daniel goes, I'm sorry. Yeah.
And I'm sorry about that, too.
Well, I'm sorry about this because in the memo it says it's Sunday,
I know.
September 9th. It's Saturday.
It's Saturday. We're going to send out a corrected email. But next Saturday night, we have Slichot, which is our first time to kind of jump into the High Holy Day themes and hear the High Holy Day music and get that feel. At 8 o'clock, there's a wine and cheese reception, and then the service will begin at 9. So we'd love for you all to be here. What? A.M. Oh, P.M. PM. Slichot's at night. So it's traditionally like that twilight midnight service. We have moved it back to 9 o'clock, so those of us that like to sleep can go to bed. So it is at night. It's a really amazing service. If you haven't been, it's really special. You really kind of get that high holiday feel as we move into Rosh Hashanah, which is 2 weeks from yesterday. So September 15th, we get a Shabbat Rosh Hashanah. We get a combo, and we'll have services that Friday night at 8, and then Saturday morning and Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. And there's other stuff too, so check the website for everything that's coming up.
Any other crowdsourced announcements or questions about any of that? Or
So that I don't know. So
Lisa says no.
Lisa says no.
Great.
So you don't have to. We would love for you to register. There's no cost, there's no ticket, you don't have to bring anything. But for security purposes and because we're doing it at CRC and we want to make sure we have enough space, we'd love for you to register so we can gauge that. But you're most welcome to come either way. There's an Eventbrite that we're just collecting names on so we can stay within our maximum capacity.
Okay. Let's give each other a blessing, shall we?
Here, I'll scooch over so I can bridge the gap. Yeah. Yeah, do you want to start, please?
So that there should always be more sweetness when we are together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafen. Because there's always enough, we can just share. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Okay, it looks like everyone's already got their arms around each other to give a blessing. Karen ran to go get a shofar. We're going to blow the shofar at the end of services as well today. Yivirechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha.
May you carry the joy you feel from this service with you throughout the week to make the world a happier and more peaceful place.
Adonai panavelecha vichuneka. May we take the light that hopefully we are feeling and hold it in ourselves in those places that need it and refract it back into this world.
And above all else, may we be blessed with the gift of peace. And as we move into a new year, may peace be what stays with us and guides us in the coming year.
So there is a tradition that you hear the shofar every day of the month of Elul. Traditionally, many folks do not blow shofar on Shabbat. That actually has to do with not being tempted to carry it from home to the synagogue to blow it. But I promise this has been sitting in my office.
So you didn't blow it.
Right, the idea with, for the folks on the stream, sorry. The idea with the shofar is that it is primal, and it really is, right? You blow a shofar, and if you've got pets around, they go crazy. Actually, there's little puppy bite marks on the edge of this shofar, but it's supposed to crack something open in us that is hard to crack open. It is always so easy, I think, to come up with the lists of ways that everyone else should do tshuva, right? Maggie, I've got all sorts of things you can do to be better next year, and for Karen, I've got, and the kids, and my parents, and my friends, and the CRC, and it's so much harder to see it. What'd you say? The Missouri Legislature.
Yeah, but they...
Kinahara. No, actually, I think they're doing a great job right now. During all the months that they're not in session, it's... No, right, it is so hard to see those places in ourselves where we are not the person we want to be. And so the hope is that somehow this cracks us open. There are 3 blasts. And the first one is supposed to be a call to our past, to think about who we have been. The second blast is to turn that into change making in this moment. And the third one is to hold out hope, to hold out faith that we really can be different in the future. I just read a study that said that basically all humans, when you ask them, how different do you think you're going to be in a decade from the version you are right now? They say, a little different. How different are you from the person you were a decade ago? Hugely different. We got to have faith that we can be that different years from now, too.
You want me to call it? Tekiah. Shavarim. Trua. Tekiah Gedola.
Shabbat Shalom. Terem ko yitzinira yenasa bechevza ko zamelech nikra. V'acharei